Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So glad to have you, no matter where or how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great radio station affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, or up in the region on the Voice of the Region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, and in Fort Wayne on Fort Wayne's only sports station, 1380 The Fan. Keep it tuned and locked in right here because you don't have to go anywhere else to get the content that you want. Glad to have you on this blustery couple of days. Man, snow, kind of not real snow really, but cold enough that it has been snowy and just blustery. 31 degrees this morning. Warmer temperatures are coming. Tuesday, Wednesday, I see 70s. Cannot get there soon enough. Coach Shannon Griffith joining us here on the program today, here in this first hour. Plenty to talk about. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, my man, I didn't know you had brought me in.
Sliding in. Plenty to
reading some notes. Just reading some notes.
Indiana football had pro day yesterday. We talked a little bit about that. We'll probably hear some more sound from there. The Indiana high school boys sectional play has begun. Games have already been played. I know Bloomington South beat Bloomington North the other night, and there are plenty others going on. I saw Fernando Mendoza throw the ball the other day. We'll talk about that. The ACC settlement with FSU and Clemson. That is also something that has happened, along with, can Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame? Maybe. He said that it wouldn't happen until he was dead, and he knew what he was talking about, even though the pardon from President Trump doesn't really mean anything as far as him getting into the Hall of Fame. One has nothing to do with the other. It has seemed to stir the pot a little bit, and I've seen some conversations about the possibility of him being removed from the banished list, which would then open the door for him to possibly get into the Hall of Fame, which gotta put him in, man. Gotta put him in. I mean,
it's been ridiculous anyway for those many years that they've persecuted him.
Well, he deserved it. Now, let's don't get too crazy. It's like it's hard. Bob Knight, Pete Rose, very different, but they both have they got some. Well, not that we all don't, but Jeremy jacked up. He thinks TJ Otzelberger is going to be the next head coach for Indiana basketball. But what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I just felt that Pete Rose was one of those individuals that, not saying that he isn't the innocent in all this. I mean, he did bet on baseball, did have a gambling problem. But at what point do you let the past be the past and not let that be a determination on his baseball skills and things of that magnitude? I just felt that it was a time for it to happen about 2-3 years ago. and for whatever reason, they did not want that even to occur. So
No.
unfortunately, now that he's passed on, I do think it's the best time to do what is necessary for his legacy in pro baseball.
Russell thinks that Chris Beard may have taken a giant step forward for the Indiana job after his team's performance last night. They beat Tennessee. That's a heck of a game. I watched that game all the way through, and Tennessee kind of led for the majority of the game, but they never could get Ole Miss put away. And Ole Miss just stayed right there the whole time, and it was a great game. Ole Miss ends up coming out with a win there, but I will disagree with you. I just don't think that Chris Beard is in the running. We've had that conversation multiple times, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, don't see it. I don't see it happening. Christopher, yeah, it was a great win. It's so funny. Russell thinks TJ Otzelberger will be a disaster. Then you've got people that can't wait for him to be the next coach. I've said this numerous times. It doesn't matter who it ends up being. There are going to be people that are not going to be happy. It cracks me up.
Yeah, it's never going to.
Because I'm like, I could care less. Because, hey, I have no dog in the fight. I just cover the action. But it's not I'm not in a position to make the hire. I'm not in a position to have all the information about the guys because they're trust me, there is a lot more information than you know about people. They get all kinds of things. They look at all kinds of different things. But then some of it comes down to just making a decision. I'll grant you that. But I'm not involved in it. So I don't portend to have enough of an opinion to discredit any of these guys that are out there. A lot of people don't like Mick Cronin, or you bring his name up and people go, no, Mick Cronin. And I'm like, okay, why? But no one gives you reasons why they don't like some of these guys. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me why.
Tell me why.
There you go. Diaper Money said he loves morning Diet Coke for breakfast.
There you go.
There you go.
Should be a sponsor.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you. Glad to see you on here, Diaper. And I agree. It says that Indiana will not hire Chris Beard. End of story. I that's my take right there. Chris Beard will not hire Chris Beard. End of story. Bam. Stop the discussion.
Hey, as attractive as a job can be, such as Indiana basketball and the storied history and the players that have come through there, I think coaches that are looking at this job are going to have to do their own due diligence and finding out why has there been failure, at Indiana.
I can answer that. The wrong people have been hired.
Well,
says Jim, no offense, but he hopes I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I agree with that. But I just, not because I think I know everything. I don't. But I don't think that I'm wrong on this.
But you think the reason Indiana's struggles has all been tied to who has ran the program. So
absolutely.
So they've had what, 5 mistake hires?
No, Kelvin Sampson was not a mistake. He just did a dumb thing. But
Yeah.
Indiana threw the bathwater out with the baby.
Yeah.
On that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, anything to do with the NCAA, you just fight them.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Trust and
But
verify.
Indiana was so, what word to use. They allowed the program to be completely decimated because of stupid phone calls and text messages.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that crap.
Yeah.
There was a rule that was so stupid that it was changed the very next year by the NCAA. But yet Indiana felt it was worthy of decimating, just wiping out, blowing up the program. I guarantee you, all they had to do was fight. That's it.
No, you're right. I mean,
Gritty's got to have her morning Diet Coke from McDonald's. Well, we got on, I don't know how we got on the morning discussion, but we sure did.
We're all over the place.
No, it's, let's see, Sarah says, depends on if they really want to win or stay mediocre. Well, again, yeah, I'm not going to.
Well, they should be winning with the roster that they have now. I mean,
Claude says it was great to see Chris Beard get in with the fans and the players last night on the floor. I'm sure it was a heck of a celebration. And how about that SEC? Holy crap.
That's
Tennessee going down, and Alabama went down to Florida last night. That was another great game. Florida goes to Alabama, gets a huge win over Alabama. Florida might end up with the number 1 seed.
Yeah. That's one conference that you could say that they have really elevated basketball as a whole conference because of what you just said there. There's a lot of teams in the SEC that are capable of doing what you just said, going in someplace and getting a big win in a hostile environment and maybe changing the total complexion of their conference and what may happen with the national tournament as far as seeding goes.
Yeah, Harpoon Bakery says Beard, Golden, Wade all have baggage, major baggage, but they are great coaches. Hate to miss out on any of them, but IU will not hire them. Well, Golden, his buyout's too high, man. He's up around $14 million. Wade is a straight up cheating SOB. He's never been on my list ever. Will Wade will not be the coach at Indiana. You can't make comments on FBI wiretaps like we made a strong ass offer before you were allowed to make strong ass offers.
Yeah. There's another thing. It was illegal back when, but now it's totally fine. It's amazing how things
People talk about wanting Will Wade, but yet if you mention a name Kelvin Sampson, it's like bringing up the devil. He made phone calls and some text messages. Will Wade made a strong ass offer, quote in quote, but that's okay. People crack me up. Brian says, yes. Oh, yes. I'm glad you brought this up because since Dusty May signed his extension, he has lost 3 of 4. I couldn't remember if he'd had 4 games or just the 3 because I knew he lost 3. The one being a 30-footer to beat Rutgers at home. Top 20 matchup last night and couldn't even fill their arena. Dusty chose that over IU. Good for Indiana, he says. And you may be right. Things sometimes work out the way they're supposed to work out. Hey, we've got to take a break. Coach Shannon Griffith is with us. Bob Kravitz will join us. Getting all off kilter here. But plenty coming up at you. Appreciate you being with us. Back with more on the backside of this first break.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza,
burgers, beer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday, getting through the week. Man, I hope this is the last drizzly weather, wintry week. I see 70s in the forecast for next week, watching the snowfall yesterday and today.
70s. I haven't seen that. Wow. I'll have to check that out.
Look at Tuesday, baby. I think Tuesday is the
of course, you guys are down there in the south of Indiana where it warms up quicker than the north.
You damn right. Damn Skippy.
Anything above I-70, it takes a little longer to thaw out.
Yeah, well, there's no reason to be that far north. I always ask myself, why would people I am drawing so many blanks this morning. Purposefully live where it's cold. I'm like, man,
Gotta have the
crazy.
change. Yeah.
The women's Big Ten basketball tournament is underway. I kind of forgot about it because it snuck up on me, to be honest with you. Let's see. First round games have happened. Number 12 seed Washington upsets number 13 Minnesota 79-65. Number 10 seed Nebraska crushes number 15 seed Rutgers 94-60, and number 11 seeded Iowa 81 to over number 14 seeded Wisconsin to 81-54. Second round today, Indiana women playing right now for a lot of you listening to us. And all of this is on Fubo. What the hell is Fubo?
It's a streaming service for number one, but why would they just put it all on that? Wouldn't it be on the Big Ten network at worst?
That's a great question. Why it's not? I
can't imagine why they would,
The first round will stream exclusively on Peacock, NBC's subscription streaming platform. The Big Ten Network will air the entirety of the second round through the semifinals, and CBS will air the Big Ten championship. Streaming options for the game that will air on the Big Ten Network include Fox Go app with the TV login and Fubo, which carries the Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
And offers a free trial to new subscribers.
Yeah.
You can stream the championship game on Fubo. So, geez.
It's another word. It's a streaming service, but
just put it on a channel. Man.
Well, it is on the Big Ten, and then CBS, then their Fox is moving all around.
That's too much.
I know.
Indiana takes on Oregon today. How odd is this? Number 8 seed Oregon taking on the 9 seed Indiana. That is almost exactly what the men's bracket looks like at the moment. I think that that is the exact way
Yeah,
that it is. We'll see how it turns out. Indiana needs to win the men against Ohio State on Saturday.
to assure it, right?
Yeah, I still don't know that that's a guarantee. I think that they have to win a Big Ten game, depending upon what seed they are. If they are the 9 seed and they take on Oregon, I think they could withstand a loss to them without it knocking them out. But
Yeah.
if they were the 8 seed and they were playing a 9 seed, it may,
Where's
well,
where's
we'll see.
DeCourcy when you need him?
Hey,
He's been on the Big Ten Network, Fox Network. He's getting a lot of FaceTime.
hey, brother, that's what we bring on the big swingers.
That's right.
Bring on
I
the big
aspire
swingers.
to be those guys, right?
The ACC settlement with Florida State and Clemson basically is going to provide them more money with higher TV ratings. How in the hell are they going to measure this? Is this going to be a game by game thing?
Yeah, I that one, it's interesting because of course they don't want to lose two of their quote unquote top brands.
But they can't lose them. They can't go anywhere. They're locked in.
Well, they are now because
They already were. With that.
well, I think they would have gotten out of it, for the price, but yeah, I don't know how that's going to be measured other than, they always have ways, it seems, to measure viewership on these, on different games and things of that magnitude. They kind of sold their soul to them a little bit because it's dependent upon them to be teams that are in the top of their game. Now, Clemson, you can say, is pretty good bet that they'll have a good team, but Florida State, you're talking about struggle. They've struggled. Now, I do think they're in the process of turning the corner, but they haven't been the team that everyone has associated with Florida State as being during the Bowden eras.
Yeah, the ACC, according to the Athletic, cried uncle, as the
Right.
league, Florida State and Clemson all agreed to settle the sordid web of lawsuits among the conference and two of its flagship schools. Florida State and Clemson wanted a bigger cut of the annual conference revenue and financial viable escape hatch. The ACC wanted to keep the league intact. Well, of course they do. Can't lose your golden gooses. Tuesday's settlement, announced after a year-long fight, managed to satisfy all aspects and constitutes, or at least placate them for now. But it's also the type of disruption that could trigger a future Super League takeover of college football.
Yeah.
The agreement introduces a new unequal model of revenue distribution for the ACC's media contract that rewards programs with the highest TV ratings. By trying to preserve its conference and end a drawn-out legal battle, the ACC grabbed a hold of the third rail. Yeah, but what else do you do?
Yeah.
I mean,
they had to keep them. And like I said, they're kind of the brand of the ACC to some degree when you talk about football, at least. I know that I'm sure the Big Ten would have loved to have Clemson, and the SEC would have loved to add Florida State. And who knows, it still may happen at some point down the line if they do get to these super conferences. Yeah, it was they had to find a way to keep them in the ACC.
but again, they couldn't leave. That's the problem. They can't leave. The contract that they signed with ESPN was locking them in, but yeah, we'll see how theirs works out. But the ACC being so weak in football, it's going to be hard.
Right.
It's going to get harder and harder to keep that league intact. Especially, you see teams like Indiana rising, and they're not the only one. There are other teams, but you better get competitive in football.
Well, absolutely. And this goes back to the discussion with the potential expansion of the college football playoffs to 14, maybe 16 teams. And the SEC and the SEC and Big Ten are already plotting a course because they want a guarantee of 4 positions, automatic qualifiers in the college football playoffs, which would leave the ACC and Big 12 with only 2, and then 1 for a group of 5 team in that regard. So, the Big Ten and SEC, you could look at it and say they're kind of a power grab in some respects, but if they get 4 and 4, I don't think the ACC and the Big 12 will be, overly happy with that arrangement, but we'll see what all happens.
Let's see. Roswell says Arch Madness starts at 1 p.m. today. I'm assuming he means March Madness. With the Sycamores, is their conference tournament starting this week? Well, I guess that's right. There are some conferences that start a week earlier. Man, we keep forgetting about that because there are so many. So Indiana State now, were they in the Missouri Valley still?
Yes, I believe so.
Let's see. Russell says he thought assistant coaches were not supposed to be head coaches. I have no idea what that means. Joe says UNC had entire degree programs that were fake for athletes, and when the NCAA tried to punish them, North Carolina told them to pound sand. Well, what they did was the 2 people that worked at North Carolina that headed those things disappeared, no longer worked for the university. I don't know that they disappeared. So therefore, when they no longer were under the auspices of an NCAA institution, they had no reason that they needed to talk to the NCAA. And guess what? They didn't.
Right.
And after 18 years of academic fraud, North Carolina just bloop, 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 walks away unscathed. This is all Indiana's fault.
Bubba Cunningham at North Carolina. AD.
Yeah. So, oh well, it is what it is.
Ball State. That's why I know Bubba.
We could chew up the old hamburger all we want, but Harpoon Bakery says since TJ Otzelberger has been mentioned as a potential candidate for the IU coaching job, he has dropped 3 of 4 games, 2 of them critical home losses. People they really pay attention to game by game things about. I'm like, dude, you cannot look at it that way. You have to ignore that because people point out the big win by Chris Beard last night. Yeah, well, I think he had lost 2 of his last 3 or something right before that. Yeah. So, man, it's that time of year. So, yeah, I don't get hung up on that. The Dusty thing, I think that's just kind of, it's ironic, but I think it's just coincidental. Michigan's just not quite that good. Michigan State is surprising me on how good that they're turning out to be. Man, had they're moving it up. They've taken a step up.
Izzo can take those teams and make them winners. That's what he's always been able to do, especially when he's had maybe second-tier talent. He does a heck of a job, man. He's one of the best coaches there is at taking a group of guys and getting them to buy in and play his style, and it pays off.
Absolutely. Brian says he's glad that IndyCar moved to Fox. I know they've had 1 race so far, St. Petersburg. So they've got NASCAR and IndyCar.
Yeah.
They are the racing network, baby. They are the racing network. Oh, that's right. They just had their TV people on. Diaper says Oregon isn't going to get massive helps from the refs in Indianapolis. Did you know the ref from the Malice at the Palace was a ref at the Oregon game? Didn't call the shove on Rice. Yeah, the push off. Yeah, I mean, it was a missed call. There's no doubt about that. Brian says if Woodson plays two bigs again, it won't matter who IU plays. Well, yeah, but it hasn't been the case. The Indiana has been running a much smaller rotation of 8 players. So it's almost impossible to run them both at the same time. Good to see Fozon on from Amon Jordan. Good afternoon to you, sir. Yep. Fozon pointing out the entire women's tournament is on BTN, except for the championship game there. Will North Carolina be SEC bound or Big Ten? That's a good question. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I just don't know that this football thing is just going to go away. I think Shelly must be talking to you. Is this dude stoned?
Who, me?
I'm just assuming because it can't be me.
No, I'm fighting a cold.
Yeah, I almost made a comment. I promise you, if we had
my voice is a lot deeper than it is usually, but yeah, I'm fighting off the winter colds when it fluctuates in temperatures as it has.
If we had Bob on, he'd probably say, "I wish I was."
Yeah.
He can say that. I can't. He's semi-retired.
Well, so am I right now, but
yeah, how's the stump?
Hey man, I'm just like I said, I'm sitting back and kind of observing the world from the sidelines right now and enjoying that aspect of it, other than the fact that I got some back problems that have creeped back into the picture and it's going to require another surgery. So I'm just kind of keep my head above water.
Boy, we could just do a program on everybody's ailments.
That's right.
I mentioned the Indiana high school basketball sectional play has begun. Get out and catch a high school game, man. Go out and support your local high school team. It's a great time of year. Seen some great pictures of some of the arenas that are full.
Yeah.
Always love seeing that. Always love seeing that.
Tourney time in Indiana is probably one of the funnest times of the year when you get into the tourney. And the weather changes, of course. The weather always changes, and we get bad weather, but that signifies that the tourney's ready to roll.
Well, not only that, it's a good reason to go watch Hoosiers again.
Mm-hmm.
Just had Angelo Pizzo on last week. That was always fun. Learned some things. Did you know that Norman Dale could have been played? Initially, what was going to be played by Jack Nicholson.
Oh, really? Yeah. I think I had heard that at one time.
Did not work out. The studio wanted Burt Reynolds.
I don't know if that would have.
And then Robert Duvall.
I could see based upon his kind of a.
And Fletch, Dennis Hopper's character was first offered to Harry Dean Stanton, but Harry Dean Stanton didn't know about it because his manager turned it down, thinking it was whatever.
But he's not his manager anymore.
We're also pointing out that Duke's associate head coach Jai Lucas has signed a deal to become the head basketball coach at Miami.
Wow.
Courtesy of ESPN. Yeah, that's you usually don't see that. Now, that's the only way you're going to see an in-season kind of a thing like that, usually is with an assistant coach, because they don't have the same kind of constraints that a head coach would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, David, exactly. Pointing out, says even the best coaches lose games. They just figure it out and make changes. That's what they do.
Unlike Wilson.
Yeah, I'll let him say that, or let you say that.
Qualifier.
There you go. You've already answered that question. It's just going to be a fun day. Hopefully Bob Kravitz is going to join us. You know, Bob, he's probably laying about, Mr. Retired guy. Guys that got retired, but we're getting closer to you people finding out who your next basketball coach is going to be, but you're still a couple of weeks away. Yeah, Gene Hackman was the right choice.
Absolutely.
But see, that's a perfect example of this coaching search.
And I was just going to say the same thing.
That is a perfect example. Yeah, you could have had Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest actors ever, one of my favorites. But it would not have been how it turned out. You could have had, Burt Reynolds, but you got what you got, and no one would have played it like Gene Hackman played it. No one would have played it like Jack Nicholson played it or whomever, but they all would have been different. But I think that it ended up how it should have been. It's easy to say that because we don't know how the others would have been. But that's just like Kentucky, Louisville. They didn't get their first option last year in their coaching searches. They didn't get their second option in their coaching searches last year. So don't get all wound up. Don't get all wound up. But that's another reason why both schools don't want that information out, because they'd rather just, if you're going to get turned down, they'd rather kind of keep it quiet. And which I get that. Why would you want that out there?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be out there. It helps. It helps someone if they're going to use it to sign an extension. But that's about it. The Blue Room. That's you, Coach Griff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little blue, a little chaos, kind of redoing some things around here, but
is the life blue? Oh, how about Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah.
I saw him throw the ball yesterday.
I got to see the video that was posted as well.
Yeah, the Indiana is going to miss nothing.
No,
they're not going to miss a step.
Yeah, I think he's very similar to what how Curtis was. I think he's an accurate thrower. I think he throws a good deep ball. Mechanically, he's very sound from what I saw throwing around there. So anxious to see how he does throughout the spring, and if things all sync up and he takes off and, is the heir apparent to be the next starting quarterback for Coach Signetti.
For the next 2 years.
Yeah.
No less. That in and of itself has to be several things. First of all, this is the second season for all of these guys, the coaching staff. So they've got that season under their belt. There's no way it's not going to be just a lot easier this second time around. It's just like anything. Once you've gotten a little used to it, and not that I meant as far as working things out smoothly in so many different ways. The players I think they're set up better. I've said this over and over. I think that they are going to have a better team next year than they had last season. Doesn't mean they're going to have a better record, because their schedule is definitely
tougher,
uptuned. But
well, you've got that, the off-season workout, the weight room, all the development stuff that is so critical in program development and building the foundation. You've had that full year with that strength and conditioning group that will be able to take the data from last year and, move forward this year with the guys that, need to have some tweaking done as it pertains to their specific body type and position. That makes a huge, huge difference. And from what I'm gathering, Coach Signetti was very, very pleased in what he saw from his group of young men in their testing day outside of the pro day. The pro day was as good as advertised with some of the guys, and some guys opening some eyes of scouts and such. But yeah, it's you're more comfortable in your skin, so to speak, going into your second year. And the one nice thing that Signetti does in terms of mindset, he has the ability to erase what happened a year ago and put in the mindset, we have not accomplished anything and we are not satisfied where we are at. And those things are something that he does a very good job at, and the staff, and keeps the guys moving forward, because you can't, the old saying, you either get better or you get worse. Not, you never remain the same. And he really grasped that with this team. And I do think the kids respond to stuff of that nature.
Joe says the Illinois game will tell us a lot about how the season will go. Illinois opens up Big Ten play for Indiana. It's the first non-conference game, so 4 games in. It's a home game, but it also comes that precedes road trips to Iowa, then Oregon. So that is a tough 3-game stretch for Indiana, as they'll take on an Illinois team that is going to be good. They have Drew Allar. Is it Drew Allar? What's the name of their quarterback? Altmaier. Luke Altmaier, I think. But they were just off of CFP last year. So they're going, and I've already seen them picked as one of the teams that'll be fighting for one of those spots. So they'll be fighting Indiana for a CFP spot. That's going to be a huge conference game for both of those teams, without question. And then Indiana heads out to Iowa and Oregon in back-to-back games.
Well, last year, Indiana's success kind of sucked the air out of the room for a team like Illinois, who was having a really good season, but did not get a lot of media attention for that. And they kind of did it in the background. And you kind of look down and see where they were at the end of the year and realize, hey, they're a pretty good ball club. And then they went and won their bowl game, if I'm correct, against South Carolina, I believe. And so they've got a lot of momentum heading into their this season for Bielema, which I think is his third. Is it his third season or fourth season at Illinois?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't think it's his fourth.
Yeah, I think it's that third season for him.
He wasn't his first season Tom Allen's last season.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
good trivia question. How many years has Brett Bielema been at Illinois?
Fred says great year for football, but no banner. But Andrew says, well, maybe the CFP deserves a banner. Might as well put one up. They've got nothing else to put up. Put something up. I mean, but of course, then it would look awfully lonely with one little banner hanging up out there. Illinois lost to Minnesota. When did that happen? I had the scores from last night pulled up and I forget.
He may be referencing the football too.
Well, we've got to take a break regardless. From the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, joined by Coach Griffith. Shannon Griffith here as Indiana Sports Beat Radio rolls on, back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the hard truth.
Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Glad to have you along for the ride. Appreciate you, no matter where or how you're listening, and appreciate all the commenters on that are following us on YouTube. And you can do so as well. Just go to YouTube. You can find us, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Give us the like button. Just hit the like button. I don't care about subscribing. Hit the like button. That's the most important thing.
That's right.
Coach Griffith with us. Talked some football as Indiana had their pro day yesterday. Or is that the day before yesterday? I'm getting confused.
Yesterday.
It was Tuesday, yeah. Days are running together.
Tuesday. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. But to answer your question about Bielema, he is going into his 4th season.
Oh, it is. Okay.
He became the head coach in 2021.
Huh.
So he'll be primed and ready. He's been there 4 years, so his foundation has been laid and worked upon for the last 3 years, and should be going full bore this year.
Oh well, yeah. Like I said, they were right there last year, just to step off. But they'll be coming when you have your quarterback returning. That's huge.
Oh yeah,
it's just huge, and that's why I'm talking about Indiana being so solid for the next 2 years. And I'm not saying it doesn't go on after that. I've talked about you've got the brother Mendoza waiting in the wings to follow him, just like he did in high school. We may have 4 years of Mendoza.
That's right.
The Mendoza line may take on a whole new meaning.
Absolutely.
Russell asked, what did Scott Dolson do under the Bob Knight regime? Well, he was a manager. Basketball manager. If DeBoer doesn't leave IU, we wouldn't have Signetti. Then IU in the college. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. DeBoer was going to eventually leave. He was don't understand that comment. Anyway, sorry. No coaches with mullets anymore. Yeah, I agree with that as well. But I got to talk to CJ West. Man, he's got a great personality.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to participate in the combine. The personality of these guys are just we don't get to talk to them as much as we'd like to, but especially in the situation. But they all seem so. I don't know if it was because it was out of season, but man, they seemed so much more relaxed, even though they were there for pro day with all of these NFL scouts. They were all very relaxed. I got that feeling so strongly.
That's how they played. even last year, they didn't care who they were playing against. They felt confident in themselves and as a team to go perform. And, when you have that mindset, you're relaxed. So you're just seeing a continuation of what those kids did, for 11, 12 weeks. Yeah. And CJ has, improved his potential draft stock because of what he was able to do at the combine and did it very, very well. I think he ran a sub-5 in the 40-yard dash, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's moving for a kid that's, 280, 300-pounder. He was moving. And so I think in a lot of respects, he's helped himself in the draft. And I think Curtis Rourke has solidified himself in the way he handled himself at the combine in front of the mic. And then I think he's been able to throw a little bit.
I don't know that Curtis Rourke is, and I don't mean it because I'm being negative against Curtis Rourke. I'm not sure he's an NFL, although his toughness is without question. But does he might be? Is he? Does he have the tools to be like a Nate Sudfeld?
Oh, I do. I think in some respects he may be a little bit better in that regard. Now, Suddy probably has a little bit more of the mobility aspect.
When you have a torn ACL, it's kind of hard to be mobile.
Right. I just think Curtis has a little bit more of the size, the things that, the measurables in that regard. And then he's backed it up with performances at not only a group of 5 school in Ohio U, where he had a tremendous, career there, and it transferred to him coming to the Big Ten and then doing the same thing in the Big Ten. So I think when you combine that and add some of the things that were observable, I just think he's a solid kid that probably is a mid to late round type of pick in my mind. But then again, like you said, there may be a situation where he does go undrafted and becomes a unrestricted free agent, and that may in his case be better. Who knows? But
a lot of times it is better because you have the option to look at teams rather than a team looking at you, and then it doesn't work out. So we'll see. But he also has a great option with the Canadian Football League.
Oh yeah,
his brother is already there, and he is Canadian, so they're paying attention to him. There was a camera crew down for Indiana Pro Day from Canada, just following him around. I was shocked. I was like, "Wow, really?" So,
well, he's one of the top-tiered athletes spotlighted in Canada, and for what he's done in American football. And absolutely, he will have an opportunity, whether it's in the NFL or the CFL, to be a professional football player when it's all said and done. And I think that's the best thing about it for him is that, he's it's just, where am I going? That's the mentality. Where am I going to go?
Where am I going? Well, unfortunately, it's time to go. Speaking of where am I going? We're going to take another break. We've got more coming up. Kyle Neddenriep will join us in the next hour. And we'll talk some more IU basketball. We'll hear from Matt Sisley, Trent Sisley's dad, in an interview with him a while back, and Kevin Boyle, the coach at Montverde, who's leaving. Back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the hard truth.
Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Lots going on as the women's Big Ten tournament happening in Indianapolis, the boys IHSAA basketball tournament going on throughout the state. There are other smaller conferences that have men's conference play that is starting this week. It is the last weekend for Big Ten regular season play. And the Big Ten title still up for grabs as Michigan State has kind of taken a stab at this title. They're 15-3. They're a game and a half ahead of Michigan after Michigan lost again last night. Maryland behind Michigan at 13-6, tied with Purdue for 3rd and 4th and 5th, along with Wisconsin. So those 3 teams are tied. Then UCLA jumps up there, followed by Illinois and Oregon, who are tied at 11-8. And then Indiana, who's tied with Ohio State. This weekend will break that tie. Not only will it break that tie, it will determine, I think, who goes to the NCAA tournament and who does not. I think that's a play-in game, personally, for the NCAA tournament between those 2 teams. Unless, if you lose that game, you're going to have to make some hay in the Big Ten tournament. You'd have to win a minimum of 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. And for Indiana, I'm not sure if that's, although their records are very, very similar, their metrics are not. Ohio State's is much better, but they're very similar. They have the same Big Ten record. Indiana is 5-4 at home. Ohio State 5-5. But we'll talk more about that later on. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joins us now. And as I've talked about, there is so much going on, Kyle. The big women's Big Ten tournament going on in Indianapolis and the boys ISSA tournament going on. So the basketball has begun in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, been out 2 nights already and 2 nights to go for sectional week. So a lot happening, a lot of good games so far, and plenty more to come. Friday's kind of the cut down day. We'll cut the field in half and then hand out some trophies on Saturday. So a lot of teams still alive, but not too many by the end of the weekend.
There's a piece out that you put that says sectional week is your favorite week of basketball season, but it can be better. And you explain how, but I'd rather you talk about a little bit of that because there is nothing. I mean,
I can think back to being in high school, and I was more of a football player. I went to Floyd Central. I wasn't good enough to play basketball there. But it was a blast. I still remember those regionals at Seymour and just how much fun it was. It was an absolute blast. Now, that was back in the single class system. I'm not sure that makes a difference, but how can we make this thing better to keep it? Because the crowds are still pretty good, but granted, this is not 1950s Milan and all that, but there's always things you can do better.
Well, my one thing, so I was out Tuesday night. I was not planning to write anything like this because I'm not and basically the story's about seating and what you could possibly do. So I was out at Carmel on Tuesday night, get there. I knew it was sold out already before. You had Carmel and Noblesville the first game. You had Fishers and Westfield the second game. You get there, the parking lot's packed already. It's, it's a fire atmosphere, just awesome atmosphere. Even the first game, which Carmel was under 500 and they lost their best player to injury, unfortunately. So they were kind of uphill battle this year, but they, that was a great atmosphere. But then the Fishers Westfield was like number one versus number three. You knew it was going to be an awesome, and the game lived up to it. Westfield cut it down to 3 with 1:01 to go, and almost had a steal that would have maybe given them a chance to tie. Anyway, Fishers ends up winning. But a lot of the talk, I was talking to people that night was about why are we playing this game the first night of the tournament? The number 1 versus number 3. What sense does that make? And on its face, yeah, I mean, what are we doing? And honestly, to be honest, my feeling on seeding is way stronger in football. I think it'd be, the IFCA had a good proposal together. That I thought would have been really good for at least 5A and 6A. It got spiked and they didn't push it through. The IHSA basically said, no, we're not going to consider it. My compromise in basketball would be just seed the top 2 teams in the bracket, each sectional bracket. We keep the sectional, as it is. You still do your blind draw with the other teams kind of plugged into those other spots. But just, let's give a little bit of something to have the season matter slightly, but you then keep everything else the same, just seed those top 2 teams. So if you earned its second seed in the sectional, which Westfield would have, you're at least on the other side and you get a bye into Friday. Maybe somebody knocks out Fishers before you even get to them. Maybe somebody upsets them. I had someone saying well, why do you want to just put the tournament so the top 2 teams? Well, I'm not saying there still could be upsets. I mean, there still could. That's the beauty of the sectional, but you at least give something for the top 2 seeds. And again, maybe it doesn't change a whole lot. I know the other arguments people say, well, they're going to play each other anyway. So, why don't we just have the NFL playoffs where you just pick the teams out of a ping pong ball? So I don't understand any of the comments against it. I don't really understand or agree with, but it seems like a relatively easy thing you could do that makes the season more fun too. To me, you're playing for something that's a little bit more than just your record. You get a little bit more out of it, and you keep the sectional basically the same. You still have the same rivals playing each other. You still have the same great crowds. You still have the same passion for it. Now, not every sectional is like the one at Carmel. It's not packed everywhere, but I do like the way, the week is awesome. I wouldn't change too much with it, but I think that's one thing you could do just to add a little bit to it. And, I know people also say, well, how the heck are you going to seed these? It's like, well, how do you seed anything? I mean, you could have the coaches get together, just have them decide who come out of the room with the top 2 seeds. I mean, it's really not as hard as we want to make it out to be. It's really not. So, but anyway, that's the basis of it.
And I agree with you, because if you look at any other tournament, you mentioned the NFL, which is, of course, is a grander scale, but doesn't matter. Look at any tournament. Everything is set up in that regard. So it's a reward. If you earned the reward, if you had a great year, well, that's a reward that you don't have to play the toughest sectional game right off the bat in the first game. I think that they deserve that reward for one thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty that part of it's pretty.
Want to see a championship game that is 70-40 because there was an upset in the first round and it changed everything. So yeah, it's not hard. It needs to be done. Will they do it? Hey, they just got to the point of the transfer thing. So anything is possible. So I think this has to be next. Because with the evolution of athletics, period, the way things are going, but now with these transfers, high school NIL, you've got to make it as good. Just make it as good as possible. Make the product as good as possible because it's a hell of a product. There's no better basketball tournament in the world than the Indiana High School boys basketball tournament. The is still awesome.
It is awesome, and I don't want to act like I'm like against the turn because I'm not even big on.
No, you're right. You were what you're saying would take the sting of class basketball, what class basketball brought, and I think it would kind of alleviate a little of that.
And I just think it makes the season because the season can drag on a little bit, towards the end, and you're not. There are big games and. I mean, it's great, but I think you're adding a little bit to it. Like, if you have Westfield and Noblesville, basically would have been kind of neck and neck for that. What would be a number 2 seed? Well, that game matters just a little bit more then, and it's I think it would just be a better overall tournament if you could do it that way. But again, I'm not like hardcore for again, it's just I think something small you could do that'd be relatively easy. You could just add into the way it is now.
Yeah, they need to. I'm surprised there isn't a committee that does involve people like yourself that are actively covering the sport like nobody else. In addition to some other people, like we see all these committees that have a mix of former players, former coaches, and I think the IHSA could use a little of that to get out of their own head because I think they stay in this IHSA box a little too often.
Well, yeah, you could put together, former coaches and people who could decide who those two teams are, people who are actively involved as well. And I think you could do something like that where, and then you just hand that off and they can announce it themselves on the blind draw. Like, that'd be kind of a fun thing too. Like, who are the top two? And most of them I think would be pretty easy to know, but that could be part of your show. You do. Hey, I'm giving them ideas. So there you go.
We could, I'd make this the Kyle Neddenriep draw special or, the Kentucky Derby, which I know this is apples and oranges here, or this is actually apples and grapefruits.
Hey, maybe.
Yeah, this is completely different. But they draw for, not only do they draw for positions, the blind draw, but they draw for the draw. If that makes sense. They draw for when you get to draw. So yeah.
Now they're gonna have to draw for when you get the draw. I mean,
it's crazy. But hey, man, I'm here anything to make it better. No, that is not Hank. That is actually Kyle. Kyle, what's your dog's name?
That is Thor. He is. Let me bring him in here.
Oh no, I'm just saying. He's not bothering. I'm just curious. I have a relatively new dog, Hank, and someone was commenting. I'm like, no, it's not Hank.
No, Thor and I got Thor and Teddy, and they go outside, and Thor is the older one, and when he sees birds in the yard, he's just obsessed with getting them out of the yard. So he's the in and out.
Well, his name is Thor. It's his domain, of course.
His domain, man. What can I do?
Where are you off to tonight?
Well, there's no game. There's actually one game tonight. Thursday is always kind of the night off. But Attica and Riverton Park are playing over at North Vermilion. I'm not going to it, but there was a power outage last night, so the second game over there got delayed to tonight. So there is the odd Thursday night. I'm sure it's not never happened, but but kind of the rare Thursday night game. Tomorrow I'll be at Carmel again, and then I'm going to probably go see Greenfield Central against either Mount Vernon or Anderson on Saturday night at Muncie Central.
Braylon Mullins had a great shooting night the other night. I heard wasn't there, but as his season continues, and I put up some interviews with Trent Sisley as we saw that Kevin Boyle, the coach at Montverde, leaving Montverde. I never pronunciate that correctly, but I was not familiar with Spire Academy up by Cleveland apparently, and he is leaving the warmth and comfort of North Central Florida for Cleveland.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a choice. Spire, I know they have had some. They've been around. Let me get it.
Yeah, Spire Academy is actually more expensive than Montverde, and that's saying something. It's like $63,000 a year just to attend there, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a really. I remember when they came to be. I don't know how long it's been now, but they have had a run here of they were maybe one of the earlier, not the earliest because there have been prep schools around, but kind of when the prep schools became more of a factor, I would say they were in on that pretty early. So, but yeah, that's interesting. I know Montverde's got a really good setup down there, and he must have got a pretty good situation to go into by doing that.
Yeah, because he's won 8 out of the last 12 national championships. I think 7 of those with Montverde. I can't remember if he got one before that or not, but they won it undefeated last year with an incredible lineup of people like, I don't know, Cooper Flagg, Liam McNeely, Derek Queen, Asa Newell. There are 2 others that I can never remember their names, but just those 4, they're all starting on Division I teams right now in college. Not only starting, Cooper Flagg's the number 1 NBA draft pick.
That'll be fun to see too. Like, they're coming back up here in about a month, I guess it is. Probably
sometime in April, right after the NCAA tournament finals.
Yeah, so I know they'll set that field at some point here, and it reminds me to check on that. But yeah, that'll be coming before too long, and hopefully we'll get to see Trent Sisley playing up here before too long. So that'll be fun.
Did that move to Brownsburg? Is that where that moved to?
Well, actually, this year it's at Hamilton Southeastern. Last year it was at Brownsburg, but yeah, it's HSE this year, and I think it'd be cool if like Fishers wins the state championship, if they would let them play in that.
That would be. Look at Mr. Idea today. Mr. Idea. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about. Maybe if it's coming on here or whatever, but it's just flowing out of you.
Yeah.
They should make you the high school basketball czar.
Oh man.
I think you are the high school basketball czar, and I'm not kidding. No, there's nobody that has more knowledge about it than you do. And
I just come up with the ideas. I just come up with ideas. I don't have to put anything into actual fruition. But
that's what great minds do. They come up with the idea and go, "There you go, I'm out."
Someone else go do it.
That's right. Put it together. Wouldn't that be exceptional? But I got to tell you, now this year it may be a game to watch. Last year, I don't care who they played, they would have got smoked.
Yeah, even this year's team, I would be curious to see though, because you do have the advantage, and Fishers would just be coming off. Again, assuming they win every game here, but they would just be coming off that weekend, and so you've had your team together, you've been together, played together all season, basically the last 2 years. So you have that advantage, even though you may not have the overall talent, you do have the advantage of, you've been together and done all this. Now these other teams have too, but it's a little different, I think, when you're a true high school team. But yeah, I don't know. I would be curious to see that anyway, and just see how they would, and it'd be a huge fan interest, obviously, if that would happen. But again, just not to think they would have to probably get clearance from the association to be able to do that. But I think it'd be cool.
Hey, I think it is dumb for us to just talk about this. What would the next step seriously be? I know things like this are hard to make happen in the short term, but this is something that I could see happening, and I think it would be fan-freaking-tastic. Like you said, the fan interest would be off the charts. In addition to seeing all the different players come into play from around the Boozer brothers, whomever. Last year, Carmelo was there. This would be fantastic. That's a great idea, Kyle. We need to follow up on this. Who do we talk to next?
Well, you first need to have them win the state, because I don't know if you don't win the state.
The 4A state champion. Just allow the 4A state title winner. Just set it up that way. Doesn't have to be a specific team. Whoever wins.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
in the state,
I don't know if you have to get a waiver, because I know some states don't. Again, I don't know all the rules on this, but because I kind of assume all these are mostly going to be prep schools every year. But I know some states don't allow their teams to play, so I don't know if you'd have to get a clearance, from the association to do that or what. But
yeah, I never understood that. There was some of those rules are just dumb. I'm like, why do you care how far? Like there was a mileage thing. How far away? I'm like, why do you care how far something away is? If you get on a plane, so it's easy. You can't fly for 4 hours, but it's okay to drive. 6, whatever.
Well, they did drop that. So now you still can't go beyond, 250 beyond the state line, but you can bring teams in from like Florida, because IMG Academy played at Ben Davis. So now you can do for football, but you can do some of that now. But yeah, I'm not sure.
And the good thing is they wouldn't have to travel outside of the city. Basically,
they'd be traveling they'd be going about 2 miles to their rival high school.
Well, we've got to make this happen. You've got me fired up about this. I think that would be fantastic. Speaking of Trent Sisley, by the way, in Montverde, he is leading Montverde in 3-point shooting at 47%. He's shooting 65% from the field. Now, I know that's a mix of inside and out play, but dude, I posted some videos a few days ago, and his game has he made the best decision of his life, which I knew it was the right decision when he did it, but his game has elevated in every way, and it is going to make him a better player. I think it's going to make him a hell of a 4-year college player, and Indiana is going to be, and whomever the next coach at IU is going to be so lucky they have a player like this already waiting for them as a recruit. He is a kid that is committed to the school. He's committed to Indiana. He is going to be there. He has dreamed of putting on those candy stripes, and that's about as nice of a situation as you can come into as a new coach.
Well, and I think too, he's we talked about this when he did it, but he just works so hard at everything he does. And when he was going down there, it was because he wanted to go put the work in. Some guys I think go there, or not there necessarily, but they go places thinking like, well, this is going to be easier route. I think he went there knowing like this is going to be harder. I've got to really put the work in and make myself ready for the freshman year at IU. So I mean, to work hard is one thing. To perform like he has in the 47% from 3 kind of shows that. I mean, that's really impressive. But yeah, I think I think I remember talking to you about it when he did it. I completely get it why he did it, and in his situation, I think it's worked out, obviously, and we'll see how it works out at IU. I mean, there's other variables clearly when you go to play at college, but I agree. I think he's going to be a really good player at the college level. I thought that even before, and certainly do now.
He is going to be, like I said, he is going to be a hell of a 4-year player, because I think he is going to be a guy that is there for 4 years and get better, unless he just really continues to improve, because he has gotten better, and he comes from a basketball family. It's in his genes, man, and he is your prototypical Indiana state of Indiana, high school basketball player, hard-nosed, does it all, whatever, but he's got size and he's got talent, and has worked, like you said. He has put the work in. You have to when you go to a place like Montverde. If you don't, bye-bye. Caden Allen, who had previously received an IU offer at Montverde and had committed elsewhere, but he had been booted off the team by Boyle, I think, and he was a starter. So looking forward to it, but man, there's a lot coming up. I know you're going to be a busy man, so enjoy your off day today.
And I saw that comment about Jeff beating Fishers. If that's the state championship game, I will be really happy or not happy, but it would be really exciting because that would be a fun atmosphere and a hell of a game, I think. So, but yeah. That'll be. I gotta tell you,
even though I went to Floyd Central and I grew up hating Jeffersonville, not as much as I hated New Albany. High schools, the competition things, people don't get excited.
Oh, yeah.
But with Sharon, he's one of the people I respect most in this entire world. The 180 he was able to do with his life, the person he has become. He's somebody that those kids have to look up to. Hell, I look up to him. And what a great role model that Jeffersonville is so lucky to have him. He would make a hell of a college coach. I think he does an unbelievable coaching job. I really do. And he should probably be in college. Maybe he doesn't want to go because being a college coach is hard. You have to, if you're married, oh, buddy, your wife better be along for the ride because it's exactly what it's going to be, a ride. And that means different jobs, maybe 3 jobs in 3 years. You don't know, but it's that building, that working your way up is the hard part.
And it's I mean, this is a really special team to him and for that school. I mean, these seniors they have right now, you don't get this. This is kind of a once in a generation type of thing with these seniors they have. And the fact that they were so close last year to making it, they know what it kind of feels like and tastes like, and it's not going to be easy. They're probably going to have to beat New Albany again, and New Albany's really good. But the 3 seniors they've got who are kind of their main guys are really, really close and connected, and they're a special team. No matter how it ends up, they've had a great run here these last couple of years, and it would be but that atmosphere I think would be phenomenal because Jeff how they kind of got behind this team now, and it would be fun to see them make it if it works out that way.
Yeah, Laurie commenting said, Providence grad here. For those of you, Providence is a small private school down in southern Indiana, located right in there between Floyd Central, New Albany, and Jeffersonville. But she said she hated both New Albany and Jeff. You all spray painted Mary all the time, and she's talking about the Virgin Mary that's outside. Well, I hated all 3 of you guys. So we had that going for us. Just kidding. Kyle, I appreciate you, my brother. Don't work too hard. Look forward to catching up next week and recapping all of the action.
Yeah, who knows what we'll be talking about. It'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend.
Upset City, maybe, but Upset City.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, buddy. Kyle Neddenriep, make sure you're giving him a follow and be a subscriber to the Star. Keep local papers alive. Lots more coming up. Coach Shannon Griffith will rejoin us back on the backside of this break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles.
Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day.
The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Glad to have you along. Shannon Griffith, Coach Griff with us on this Thursday, and just finished up with Kyle Neddenriep as the Indiana boys basketball tournament underway. The women's Big Ten basketball tournament underway. Men's Big Ten tournament gets underway on a week from yesterday. Indiana yet to determine their fate in that tournament as they have one game remaining in the regular season. They are currently tied with Ohio State, Coach, 9-10 in the conference, both of these teams. Somebody's going to get to 500 and somebody's going to be under. I think the loser of this game is out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
and the winner is not guaranteed in, but it's in unless they knock themselves out.
Yeah, I do think you're correct. I think the loser of this game, unless something crazy happens, is probably done. And then the winner of this game, although may or may not help solidify their resume, I do think they do have to have at least that one win in the tourney, the Big Ten championship tournament, to help them solidify that resume. Because if they go into that tourney and get beat in that first game, I don't necessarily think that's going to bode all too well on the.
I love how this is turning out, though. All right, so the Big Ten title is coming down to Michigan State. They play each other on the last game.
Yeah,
their last game is against each other. And if Michigan wins, they will end up in a tie. But Michigan has, both of these teams. No, Michigan has only one game remaining, and that's against Michigan State. Michigan State has 2 games remaining.
How is that?
Well, because you just have one more game to play is all. Michigan is done. Well, they when they play Michigan State, let's see, what is the date of today? Today is the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So action from last night. Of course, Maryland goes into Michigan. You talk about a huge win for Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
And Michigan is just we mentioned this earlier, but ever since Dusty signed that extension, he's lost 3 out of 4 games.
Buyer's remorse.
That's what I was thinking.
Besides Maryland and Michigan last night, Wisconsin went to Minnesota. They picked up another win, 74-67. That game was tight too. Minnesota, you got to give them a shout out. They were in the bottom 3 of the conference, which means they were not going to be in the Big Ten tournament, and they just ebbed their way up. They're not in the basement anymore.
Yeah,
but,
that's a big win to go into Minnesota and win, especially.
USC just kicked the snot out of Washington, 92-61. Washington is awful. They're awful. Now, the games that are remaining. All right, Michigan State, I told you they have 2 games. One of those are tonight. One of those, are tonight. Want to make sure I was using the correct English. They are at Iowa in what could be. Does Iowa have 2 games left? Because, yes, this could be Fran's last game, home game at Iowa.
Yeah.
Their next game and final game of the regular season is at Nebraska on
not
Sunday.
An easy game on the road.
Well, no, and Nebraska lost a tough 2 overtime game at Ohio State the other night. So I think that they're out, but they desperately need that win. But getting ahead of myself, Michigan State at Iowa tonight. Then tomorrow, here's a great game. Purdue at Illinois.
Yeah.
They're tied in the Big Ten Conference right now. Then you have Penn State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin should win that one.
Yeah.
Help them out. Northwestern goes to Maryland. Ohio State at Indiana. All those last 3 or 4 games are on Saturday.
Yeah.
USC at UCLA. May not be a bad game. Crosstown rivalry. And then on Sunday, to wrap it all up, Michigan at Michigan State at noon. That's on CBS. Iowa at Nebraska at 12:30. Minnesota at Rutgers. And Oregon at Washington. But, these games are all coming down. Purdue and Iowa, they'll separate that a little bit. So it will it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to end the season with these games having a meaning with each of them, because sometimes you get these end of season games and they're not anything but prep work for guys that are going to be in the Big Ten tourney, or their fate has been decided in terms of the overall standing. So it's nice to see these games have a meaningful ball game for the Big Ten, and the excitement that all creates heading into the tourney, because you're kind of getting that feel right now with the desperation aspect added into it.
Yeah, and the fact that Indiana is in the midst of a coaching search is kind of ironic, because it's very quiet.
Yeah.
And coaching searches are hard to keep quiet. Very hard. But Scott Dolson knows what he's doing. I think that he learned a lot probably in hiring Kurt Signetti, because of going through with the search firm,
right?
Doing all the things that he did. I think that there were a lot of valuable lessons for him, that it's going to make this hire not easier per se, but done thoroughly.
Yeah.
I have complete trust in what Scott does. He is very engaged in his job, and he cares. It's not like he doesn't.
Yeah,
he is an IU guy. He wants. There's nobody that wants to win more than he does. He was a manager, for God's sakes, on a national championship team.
Right.
Trust me, it's his job. On top of that, believe me, this hire can put him on the Indiana Mount Rushmore, athletics Mount Rushmore instantly. If he gets this right, he may take the lead spot on Indiana's athletics Mount Rushmore. And yes, I don't know. I may have to back that one up. Bob Knight winning 3 national championships.
Yeah, that's not going to be removed.
But if you get both of these going, football and basketball, most schools don't have. A lot of schools don't have that. Indiana's a smaller school if you in comparison to Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, size wise,
right?
Big difference. Big difference. But competing in football, what do you think this House settlement is going to do with these schools having what's 75%, 15 million roughly to spend on football? 15 million. Now, that's nothing compared to what Ohio State already was spending. And they will continue. See, that's the thing people don't get. That's not it.
No,
the money doesn't stop. NIL continues. The NIL is on top of this. This is revenue sharing. So this is found money for athletics departments, for athletes in that regard. Now, schools
TV contracts, all this stuff.
Schools can choose to, like, that's it. That can be their focus. Like, okay, well, we've got this money now, so boom, that's it. And not focus as much on NIL. But let me tell you, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn, they are juicing football NIL like always, because that is the difference. Whatever you do over top of that is the difference.
Yeah, the revenue sharing aspect of things, it's going to be enable them to put together, this is what you're getting dollars and cents wise. Now, the starting running back versus the third team tight end, probably going to make a little bit more on it than the third team guy, who may be a first year player. So they may tier the money by your, senior, junior, freshman, sophomore, freshman in terms of dividing it up. But I got to think that you're going to give more to your top 22 with that, with those monies. And then, like you said, the NIL stuff is, kind of the icing on the cake. What I'm interested to see with all this is, do they finally get a guardrail system that encompasses the money aspect of the school and, NIL? Because the one thing that you hear on both sides of the equation, especially from the agents that are out there now that, are representing these kids, is they don't have any gauge to determine a kid's value. If, it's say he was the 5th best rusher in the Big Ten. Well, what's his value now as it pertains to other like-minded running backs across the board? And I got to feel that coaches want something like that as well, because right now it's kind of a hit or miss in that arena as it pertains to what one offers somebody in the NIL arena. But I do think the revenue sharing is a big part of this. That's the one thing that I think everybody was kind of up in arms about for the most part, with the NCAA and the money that was coming in via contracts of television and so forth and so on. So, but again, I don't think they have all the pieces where they need to have them when it comes to this and the wild, wild west mentality that is existing in college football right now, including these agents that are tampering with rosters of different schools. That's the one big thing that you're hearing out there is, these agents being able to say, hey, if you jump in the portal I can get you A, B, C, and D. And it's creating some issues in that regard, and rightfully so. And we're seeing some of that by the canceling the spring game per se for some schools that are not going to have a spring game, and it's due to the fact of the portal.
Yeah, we've seen Nebraska and now Texas going that way. Indiana is not. They're having the spring game, and again, I am hearing that is going to get moved to the Thursday before that Saturday.
What's the take on that one? Of why they're the movement?
I am not sure of that. I don't. I
know it was going to be,
but I think that's probably some conflict of is that Little Five weekend at Indiana?
No, it's a week before, because that's the one thing they really didn't want to run up against, Little Five weekend and things of that nature. And they would prefer, it'd be the week prior so that it kind of kicks off Little Five, in the front end rather than in the back end. But I know that game, it was tentatively to be played was that the afternoon? Didn't they have an afternoon, or I can't remember what they had as a time, because I know last year it was a night game per se. So
and Griffith brings up a good point. She says moving it from Saturday to Thursday sucks because she can't go.
Right.
And that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, man, that has to, not that the attendance was that big. And I guess maybe that's the thing. They're like, well, nobody was really coming anyway.
But this year they might.
That's because the program stunk.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, maybe you start building a little momentum, because Alabama and those programs, and I'm not comparing it, but they would get 90,000 people to a spring game, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
and they've done for years. But
you know what? Moving it to a Thursday is better than not having it, and maybe that's maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a situation where they're trying to garner the student body participation.
I don't think it's anything about. I think it's moving it because of something, not for something.
Well, I agree that the Saturday time period of having a spring game benefits those that want to attend, that are coming in from great distances, and that may impact the ability of that moving it to that Thursday when it comes to people that are outside the 2 to 3 hour drive from campus, because it makes it for a long evening when it comes to going and coming back. So there must be a very good reason if that's what you're hearing for that, and it's probably coming from those above rather than Sig saying, well, hey, let's move it to Thursday, because I know he would rather have it in the afternoon on a Saturday from that standpoint.
Russell asking, could Dane Fife, and I love Dane, could Dane Fife win Indiana a national title? My question would be, in what? So there's your answer. Someone pointed out earlier that TJ Otzelberger, the one of the potential candidates for the IU coach's job, who is currently at Iowa State and doing a fantastic job, would be a great hire. He's got two things that are unique about him. One is he's a size large, or maybe an XL guy. He likes to wear mediums. rather different for a basketball, for a coach like that. But I was thinking, if Fox ever broadcasted the games, and they always put whether it's the athletes, the NASCAR drivers, whomever, they have them in these cartoonish, instead of their picture, it's like a cartoon of them, and some of them, they've got their bodies like built up with muscles, and I'm like, well, at least if Fox covered Indiana and he was the coach, they wouldn't have to give him fake muscles. He's all built up. Boy, he'd look like Arnold.
Enhancing
I'm going to coach at Indiana.
Yeah,
there's a bomb in there.
Well, yeah, he does have a pretty good physique that maybe I'm jealous of.
I wasn't going that far. But
yeah, I mean, he has
funny.
done a great.
But anyway, here's the other thing. That's nothing compared to the other unique thing about him that someone just mentioned. He has. I was Russell asking I can't get that to come on. If Indiana has donkey farms, because apparently, I don't know if I can find it again, but apparently TJ Otzelberger has like 5 pet donkeys.
Yeah, he's a little different then.
So, yeah, not many basketball coaches moving have to worry about, I got to go check out a place to see if I got room for my donkeys, for my asses. But yeah, there's plenty of horse farms in and around Bloomington. But if you've got 5 donkeys, man, you sound like you're kind of settled where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't you can't have
I've never thought about that as a reason, but hey, let's take a quick break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Having a really fun day. Coach Shannon Griffith with us, and as are you. Grateful for it. Back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Happy to have you with us. Coach Shannon Griffith with us on The Ride. That's a great name. That's JMV, though. The Ride. It's a great name for his show.
That's right.
I was on with Dan Dockage yesterday.
Who are you?
Talking about IU hoops, yeah. Dan has me on frequently. Always fun to go on there and chop it up, hash it out.
He's the one that's kind of big on Alfred. Just hire Steve Alfred. And
you know what? I wish that would have come up yesterday, because that's the one thing, let's be honest, I don't care if you like him or don't like him. That's, your personal preference. But there's no disputing. He knows a ton about basketball, college basketball, Indiana basketball. He was around the program for 13 years as a player, as a coach under Knight. So you can't discount him. But that's the one thing I've never understood is his penchant for being and there's anything wrong with Steve Alford. Steve's a great guy and a solid coach. I just don't think he's a championship coach. And the reason I say that is while he has won over 600 games, his tournament record is not good, people. Everyone always asks, why isn't Alford on? Do some research.
Yeah.
Look at what his tournament record is. In 30 years as a head coach, his ceiling is going to the Sweet 16, of which he has done a grand total of 4 times. Well, what is 30 divided by 4? Little over 7.5, about 7.5. So every 7.5 years, your team would make it to the Sweet 16, into the second weekend, rather. That's not inspiring to me. So that's why he's not on the list. But I would love to know what Dan's take on that is. And
I think Dan's take has a little bit more to do with kind of some of the on-court stuff that's been seen, some lackadaisical stuff, and
Alfred is an Indiana guy. He gets it. He understands all this stuff. But,
being involved in a campus and not, I think it has a lot more to do with not the coaching per se, but the discipline, both on and off the court, and somebody that, with Alfred's pedigree can install pride in what Indiana basketball has had and will always have in terms of Bob Knight and things of that nature. So I think that's one of the main reasons that you don't have to worry about things like that with Alfred at the helm per se. So I think it has a lot more to do with that than anything outside of, like you just pointed out. I mean, overall, he's a really good coach. Now he does have some pitfalls as it pertains to the tourney, but I think it's just more the well-roundedness that you get with an Alfred as opposed to somebody else that's going to come in here that may not have the full understanding of what Indiana is.
But you can look at Tom Crean. He had no IU connection. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not quite. Yeah, he had no IU connections, but he got it. I mean, he got it down to the core, right from what it meant to Indiana fans, what the tradition meant, what the Purdue game means, what the Kentucky game means, what basketball means to the state. He got all of that.
And Crean did a good job.
He just outlived his shelf life. Someone said that very thing. It's either today or yesterday. And I'm like, yes, that's it. Mm-hmm. He was so, I think he wants to win so much that he overthinks things and he overdoes things. Mm-hmm. And,
and I think that's what Dockage pointed out too about that hire and Crean is that Crean did a good job of doing his research behind the scenes and actually reaching out to people, you know what I mean, about Indiana, and talking to those important people that had that knowledge, like you just said, getting the understanding of, the fans per se, and all those things that you outline. I think Crean did a good job of researching that prior to even talking to someone about the job, and that made him more prepared going into that first year. But I agree that comes a time where that wears off over time if you're not consistently getting yourself into the tournament and consistently pushing for a potential run at being a Final Four team.
Absolutely, man. It has been this has been a fun day. I got to tell you, you're going to hang out more just to have it's the
blue room effect.
It is, man. Just fun. We didn't have any blue conversations, but the conversation was fun.
Well, they can turn it into tonight, 7:30, doing the spring preview. Talk a little about spring ball, some of the position battles that will be on point, and some of the key names to keep an eye on, including some of the newcomers as they battle to get themselves in a position to be in that top 22. So we'll have that tonight at 7:30. All welcome to join.
That's on Hoosier Tailgate. Where can they find it?
You can find it on all of the YouTube channel, Hoosier Tailgate, as well as Facebook. We'll have it, and then on YouTube as well at Hoosier Tailgate.
Sounds good, buddy. And
so we're all there.
Soon there will be a new Indiana on 3 site coming, and you'll be able to find Coach there as well. Hey, lots of fun. Appreciate you, brother. And I appreciate everybody else on the day. Thank you so much. Go out and have yourselves a great one. We're back tomorrow to do it again and set you up for the weekend. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.